Hello, hello, and welcome to another Wednesday wine edition. We're talking Rhône wines today,
We are.
and I'm excited to be doing so because on the heels of a super successful little California pack, you put together what looks like a even more exciting Rhône pack. And Rhône wines, you know, that's kind of my thing. So I'm excited about these.
You got it. Well, in the words of Whitesnake, Kevin, here I go again on my Rhône.
Wow, how many of those are you going to zing out today?
As many as possible.
Wow, Whitesnake too, right? You're just starting there. I don't know where you go from there, honestly. Just shut her down, we're done? We're done?
Mic drop. Need to say nothing else.
I love it.
It's a good thing I have this mask on. My face will be really red right away.
Absolutely. Yeah, the mask can hide a lot.
No, we had a ton of fun making this pack because the Rhône Valley is a favorite region for all of us here at the market.
Absolutely.
And what I love about the Rhône Valley is there is really a wide array of styles that you can get from a region that really is predominantly Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvèdre.
Yeah.
But yet when you sample all the different wines that are in this pack, you'll see how distinctly different they can all be.
Absolutely. And you know, the Rhône was probably the first region in France that really kind of captured my imagination. So I remember drinking Chateauneuf du Pape was kind of like the first like super fancy expensive wine I had when I was younger, and that one really sort of captured my imagination, made me want to travel to France, made me want to learn more about wine. So Chateauneuf today still always is a really special wine to me, and we're really lucky to have so many great ones in our shop. We've been working with so many good producers in the Rhône for, you know, some of them over 20 years now, and it's exciting to throw together a pack like this. And I noticed you even knocked a little Chateauneuf du Pape in there.
We sure did, and this is actually the very first Chateauneuf that I ever had was from Bosque.
Oh, yeah. It's a classic.
It is a
And
classic.
we got a classic vintage going here with the 16, one of the best years, probably the best year. Actually, when we were visiting at Bosque in 2017, the 16s were still in barrel and they haven't been made yet, but Nicola, the winemaker, was laughing at like how dark and spicy and complex the wines were. He said, in his words, best vintage he's ever made. And having tasted the wines, I don't doubt it. I'm not gonna call him out on that one. I agree.
And the cool thing about Chateauneuf too, within France, if you didn't realize, it was one of the first AOCs and kind of regulated areas that ever.
Yeah, the very first one, right? It's the first one they wanted to protect because it was such a famous name.
And then, of course, a couple of Côte d'Rhône, so the appellation of Côte d'Rhône, and in general, you can kind of cover quite a large area of the Rhône Valley, but we do get a couple that are really actually a bit age-worthy as well.
Absolutely. I mean, Ogier is probably the one I drink the most, likely because we have it in stock more often than Marcoux. Marcoux is such a small production. I mean, we talk about Chateauneuf, you think of like maybe bigger producers, but Marcoux is tiny. They only make about 3,000 cases a year, which is maybe 10% of someone like Beaucastel. They're really a really micro, tiny producer. Even the Côte d'Rhône's made in very small amounts. So that one's usually only on the shelf for about a week or two out of the year. Whereas Ogier, we do manage to keep it around for most of the year. So this to me is like probably the most perfect, pretty, elegant expression of Grenache that we have in the store.
Yeah, really good wines. And then we can move down into this Côte d'Rhône from Benjamin Dornal, and we've also got, of course, the Ferrand Mistral.
Oh yeah, we still got a little bit of that kicking around, eh?
Tiny little bit.
I thought we were out of that one.
By the time these sell out, it's going to be gone, for sure.
Really, you have like 1, 2, 3 of the most, I think, perfect Grenache-based wines in the shop. And if you like Grenache, you know, sometimes we think of Côte d'Rhône as like these big, heavy wines, like super extracted, but not in those cases. The Grenache-based wines tend to be really elegant, really fine, really like silky, really pretty wines, and super complex.
Same as like the Lafon Côte d'Rhône. This has always been another real good staple of mine because it is on that lighter side. So we're sort of moving from like that lighter Grenache base all the way up into your Chateauneuf.
So you're getting a lot of different price points in there because this one's up around
62 bucks.
And then these are kind of in the mid-30s down to about, you know, 23 bucks.
Yeah.
So what's gonna cost me for all 6 of those?
All 6 of those would normally be over $200, so $174.95.
Nice. It's a good little deal. So if you're interested in Rhône wines, love Rhône wines, and want to pick up a pack, it's a great way to learn about them, but it's also, you know, a great way to fill up the wine rack or even, you know, pop a couple in the cellar, because for sure these 3 are only going to get better with a year or two more of age. What about these guys over here? Are we pouring a little Marcoux this week? What do you got planned?
Well, we'll see what we got left. So we do have a bit of the Côte de Rhône, which is in the pack. I wanted to mention that we do have other wines from Domaine Marcoux as well, although we're starting to run pretty low. Like you mentioned, they really only last a couple of weeks. So we still have a bit of the Chardonnay, a couple bottles of the Lirac, and then the Raisin de Loup, which is a really fun little wine from them.
Yeah, we haven't had this in a couple of years, so most of you probably haven't seen that before. It's just a vin de France. They employ a bit of a wacky grape variety in there called Caladoc, which is in the appellation, and some of the fruit from this comes from outside of the Rhône, Côte de Rhône area. So it's made at the same winery as this guy, which is much more expensive, but it's made kind of an unorthodox little wine. So really fun, super delicious. I had one last week. I thought it was fantastic. I'm really happy to see that back in the shop.
Have you seen Caladoc in many other wines? This was really the first time that I've ever heard of it. It's a little hybrid of Grenache and Malbec, right?
Right, yeah, and to be totally honest, I had to look it up the first time. I had no idea what they were talking about. I thought I misheard them. I had no idea what it was. So, no, that one took me by surprise, which is nice, 20 some years in the wine business. It's nice to, someone throws you a curveball once in a while, something you never heard of. We never stop learning, which is great. And people who want to throw some things in the cellar, like to collect wines, for me, Marcoux really is an absolute must-have for Chateau Neuf de Pop fans. I love Sophie's wines. I think she makes the most sort of pretty, elegant, almost Burgundian styles of Chateau Neuf. These aren't like big, clumsy, heavy alcoholic wines. They're really pretty wines, and they're really well worth having in your collection if you love Chateau Neuf. So don't miss that one.
And if you're wanting to pay a little tribute to International Women's Day, of course, Marcoux would be a great way to celebrate that, being two sisters, female winemakers that really were pioneers in biodynamics within the region. So
that's right. They were the first biodynamic producer in Chateau Neuf de Pop, and one of the first in France. They started in 1989, so that's actually when the estate started.
Amazing.
And they were already on the biodynamic train before anyone else had really even heard of it. So yeah, absolute pioneers and fantastic winemakers. We always laugh when we go there that it's clearly a female winemaking team, because the winery is like so pristine. It's so well organized. It's so clean. Like if you had men bumbling around there, they would screw that up. So the wines are spectacular. You could eat your dinner off the floor in that.
Well,
winery.
good job, ladies.
Yeah, and they make, and I think sometimes you do have that signature, that more feminine aspect of the wines, which I really like. I think there's just like a really nice touch, really nice balance to the wine. So we are very excited to have these back in the shop for as long or short as they're going to be here. So if you can pop in this weekend, please do. Anything else for this week, Robin?
No, if you are stuck home alone, hop online and
start and finishing, eh? Finish strong.
Hop online, pick one of these up. We're happy to deliver or offer curbside here at the Farmers Market.